German Tanteidan Marine Gumi puts us at the 1988 holiday season for the Famicom Disk System, the last 6 weeks of the year in which most people try to get out their big games. However, this is also the last holiday season for the Famicom Disk System. Now, if you're watching this when I release it, you're going, wait, this is still October, and this is supposed to be a year-long project covering all of the Disk System games. Well, that's where the release schedules get kind of weird. In 1989, there are no holiday releases for the Disk System. There's a release gap from mid-November to late March. Then in both 1990 and 1992, there is one Disk System game released in this period. Not really enough to call it a holiday rush. So this is really the last grasp at any kind of sales for Disk System games. After this, all that's left are the stragglers. Some of these videos are harder than others, and this is one of the hard ones. It's not the background for German Tanteidan Marine Gumi. I have way more of that than I'm comfortable with. The issue is, this is a very confusing game, and the manual is factually wrong regarding just about everything in the game. I usually talk about the modern Japanese reception at the end of the videos, but this needs to go up front because everyone I found who was talking about it mentioned that they had effectively no idea how the game worked. Not the broad strokes. It's easy enough to explain the basic concepts here, but there's a lot of details that are ambiguous. And not small details either. Some of this might come down to the game's creation process. You might remember a Famicom Disk System game that I covered a few months ago called Omoikiri Tanteidan Hard Gumi. That was a game based on a television show where a group of child detectives fought a weirdo in a mask. The TV series that was based on was part of a programming block called Toi Fushigi Comedy Series. It was a time slot given to a production company rather than a specific show, and so every year they would have a new show airing in that block. Omoikiri Tanteidan was their 7th series, and it was the breakout hit. And so they did the really obvious thing, and just made pretty much the exact same show all over again. German Tanteidan is about a group of kid detectives who consistently fight a masked villain, but they don't use a World War II bomb shelter as their headquarters. They use a World War II German submarine. That's why they're Marine Gumi, though the way that Marine is written in the title, you could call them devilish neighbors. Their enemy is the greatest thief of the 20th century, Sigmar, and the group of kids hunt him using all sorts of wacky gadgets like a Sigmar detector that picks up when he's nearby. A device that you'd think would interfere with his ability to be the world's greatest thief. In one episode of the show, Sigmar is going to steal video games, and the kids go to the game development studio where they help make the greatest game ever, which would be this game, and that episode aired about a month before the game's release. Maybe they got delayed by a few weeks. Of course, when this Disk System game turned out to not be the greatest game ever, people noticed and laughed at it a lot. You take control of the entire detective squad, and naturally, your goal is to capture Sigmar. At the start of every stage, Sigmar will send them a message on their teletype machine, or since it's on a German submarine, maybe it's an Enigma machine, and he lets the kids know that he's stolen something and hidden it in a neighborhood. He'll come back at a certain time to pick it up, and then depart at 9 p.m. The kids arrive in the neighborhood at 9 a.m., and have to spend the day investigating, hoping to identify the location that Sigmar will appear, and then work to ensnare him. Time only passes when you're walking around, and it passes pretty slowly. On the first map of 4, Sigmar will appear at 4 p.m., and it takes about 15 to 20 minutes of walking around until you reach that time. So how do you fill it? Well, you walk up to the people who are wandering the neighborhood and talk to them. Hit the A button to bring up a menu, and if you're standing exactly so that you're facing in their direction and your sprites are slightly overlapping, then you can choose to talk to them. The other menu options are to use an item, take something that you found, cancel the menu, or save and quit. You press start and then hit up and down to cycle through the different team members, though it doesn't rotate, so you can't hit up from the first one, and you can't hit down from the last one. There are 5 team members that you control, and they're all effectively identical. They just have slightly different items when they start out. The conversations will give you hints toward what location in the neighborhood has the item, and once you think you know where that is, you just bring your whole team there and wait for Sigmar to show up. Some of the people in the neighborhood are Sigmar's agents, and if they spot one of the kids, they'll rush them and catch them, which means the kid stands in place until another kid comes over and touches them. These agents are exceptionally rare, and they just look like everyone else. I encountered 2 of them in the entire 2 stages that I played, so they're not really much of a factor. Once the clock reaches the appropriate time, Sigmar arrives, and he's in disguise as another person in the neighborhood. You can see if you can figure out which one he is, and sometimes it will show you a little icon in the lower right of Sigmar walking, and his disguise will match those movements. Talk to Sigmar to make him reveal himself, and then the chase is on. Sigmar moves much, much faster than the kids. And as you've probably noticed, the kids have an extremely slow walking speed. So what you really have to do is move people into position in advance, and then reveal Sigmar. You'll corner him and capture him that way. When running, Sigmar can pass through barriers on the map, and if he reaches a manhole, he'll duck underground and randomly move to another manhole. When Sigmar gets off screen from your detectives, he dons another disguise, and you'll have to try to reveal him again. Though because of the way that limits his possible locations, the best way to play is to reveal him, let him run toward a corner and get away, then bring everybody over to trap him. There are items that could theoretically help you defeat Sigmar, but most of them don't actually seem to do anything. Use an item by selecting it from the menu, and then pressing A while you're walking around. The skateboard will put you on a skateboard, but you don't move any faster. If you want to go faster, then you have to choose the running shoes. You can also use a bus pass to get on the buses at bus stops, but why would you? It's not like that actually helps you get anywhere. The Sigmar detector looks like a badge, and it's supposed to indicate on your map that you access by pressing B when he passes over a spot, but the map really doesn't help, and it's not like you really need to narrow things down that much. The metal detector is something that everyone always has, and technically it is possible for that to reveal items, but I didn't find anything the whole time I was playing. There's also an item that will let you shout at any person on screen, and that's probably most useful for when you set up a trap for Sigmar, and want to reveal him when there's no chance of him walking past you in disguise. If you manage to catch Sigmar, then you get a congratulations screen, and a score that rates you on bravery, friendship, reasoning, investigation, and strength. The way those scores is generated is a bit abstract. Bravery comes from capturing Sigmar fast, friendship from rescuing your friends quickly, which means if they never get captured, then you don't get any friendship points, logic from finding items, and strength from using items. But absolutely none of that matters. The scores don't do anything. And since they really aren't related to your performance in the game, who cares? Then you're given the choice of repeating the stage, going on to the next one, or saving your game. And that's how you play German Tanteidan. Most of the game is pointless, you spend a lot of time doing nothing, and a good portion of the systems appear to be broken. The investigation phase, which the manual plays up, is absolutely pointless. This is a very good contender for the worst game on the Famicom Disk System. Just a complete slog to play, and it really feels like it was just dumped out so that they could cash in on the TV show before it wrapped up in a couple of weeks. This is a game that should only be played by the most extreme of masochists. It really is that bad.